Hey, 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 Nikki Brown here. No matter where you are and what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a good day. I wanted to kind of quickly do a video about being a vegan or eating plant-based food, right? These are new terms. These are marketing terms, basically. And plant-based or vegan food doesn't necessarily come in a package. Um, A plant-based food is basically a food that grows from a plant, like an apple, like a banana, like nuts, seeds, um, anything that grows from the ground or off a tree or on a tree, right? So it can be a piece of fruit, it can be a vegetable, it could be nuts, seeds, or grains. It's exactly what the words say. Plant-based, meaning they come from a plant. Now there are some packaged foods, um, like the big vegan burgers or garden burgers, hot dogs. They have lunch meat, they have cheese, they have all different kinds of things that are made from plants. Again, but they're marketed as plant-based or vegan. But again, this is some new marketing gimmicks that have popped up in the industry within the past few years. So that just like when people started not putting relaxer in their hair, so then you had this natural hair community. So you had the little small mom and pop, maybe cosmetologists or chemists, scientists who came up with certain formulas for natural hair, whereas there was a time where there were no specific products for natural hair, right? You use Blue Magic, or Dax, or S curl if you wanted a looser curl, right? But there weren't necessarily natural hair care products. You had a lot of people who've come from the islands or outside of the United States. They would use what we call plant-based products, castor oil or shea butter, or now we're finding out about shea babe powder. Um, um, Henna, they would use things that come from nature. That's all plant-based is, things that come from nature and not from a lab or a warehouse where they're picking plants and using the scraps to form it into a burger patty, right? A lot of people are against the plant-based foods because they know they have a lot of chemicals in them, and this is not to attack any one company, and I do eat them sometimes. There was a time where I didn't eat them. I just started eating them. I did become vegan from November 2021 to November 2020. No, November 2022 to November. November 2021 to November 2022. I was a vegan for an entire year. And then after that, I have had fish a few times. But prior to that, I never would really eat the, what I would call it fake meat, right? Because a lot of it tastes like cardboard. But here within the past few years, a lot of it tastes more authentic, like actual meat. And so I started trying certain things and I like them, so I do eat them more often now. Although, again, the best food to eat are foods that, like I said, are grown on a tree or from the ground, right? And some people get upset. I've had a friend a long time ago. She got upset when I said that, oh, but you can't tell me what my body needs. And we need genetically modified food because it helps feed other hungry people in other countries. And she hysterically started crying because I challenged her belief system. But that was not my intention. She had been a vegan for like a month because their church was, a lot of churches, they do the Daniel fast, or they'll fast for Lent toward the beginning of the year. And she did that fast and she saw the results in her body and she felt better. So I was like, yeah, it's better for your body. And I was explaining different things to her. And she was like, oh, I can't have this conversation. I have to get off the phone. And then she proceeded to text me for probably 2 hours. Again, hysterical that I challenged her belief system, right? And so I understand that this is a touchy subject for some people because it makes some people get upset because they don't want to give up the things that they quote unquote love or quote unquote life. And one of the reasons for that is because a lot of people are emotional eaters, especially, this is one of the things I say. When you're a child and you fall and hurt yourself, for some people, they were not nurtured or given hugs and kisses or baby. Their mom or their dad said, here, take this lollipop and shut up that crying. Or just shut up that crying before I give you a reason to cry about. Here, take this cookie. But a lot of children were not allowed to cry. They were given food. So as an adult, your natural response when something's bothering you, you're hurting, sad, sick, whatever the case may be, for a lot of people, it's to eat. Some people do the opposite and they don't eat, but a lot of people eat. They're emotional eaters, even when they're good times. The natural response for a lot of people, oh, let's eat. Let's go get something to eat. Oh, I had a good day at work. I'm going to go eat. And it's normalized because we need to eat in order to sustain life. Where we're supposed to eat to live and not live to eat. Right? And again, this challenges many people's beliefs. And they feel like if they eat healthy, it's going to take something away from them. Oh, you can't take away my this, or you can't take away my that. Not realizing that eating healthy, I was saying this to one of my coworkers. She said, where do you come up with all these recipes? Because I bring, some vegan dishes to work for people to try. And I said, I like to eat. I'm greedy. Even if it is just vegetables, I want them to taste good, right? So I come up with different ideas because I want my food to taste good. And I've been a vegetarian, so I became a vegetarian back in 2001. When I first became a vegetarian, I was, working. So a lot of times I would go to the Chinese restaurant and have broccoli. I would tell them, the first month I would say no rice. I just ate the broccoli or just ate whatever vegetable and I was done with it. Over the years, I started learning how to cook different things. And I realized when I cook for myself, I like what I cook better. But for a long time, I was considered a junk food vegetarian, right? Then there came a time where I became a pescatarian, which is basically I ate, eating fish. I didn't eat fish every day. I didn't eat fish at every meal, but I ate fish often. And then, like I said, for at least a year, I was completely vegetarian. Vegan, which means I only ate plant-based foods. However, again, I did not eat fish every day. I did not eat fish at every meal. So I was already at least 80% vegan anyway. Right? So this was nothing for me to stop eating, fish for a while because I was allowing my body to heal from a condition that I suffered from for over a year, which was sciatica. It was debilitating. And if you have or had sciatica, you may understand what I'm saying. Some people, they snap back quickly, and some people, they're down and out for the count for a while. And I was one of those people. I was down and out for the count for a while. I mean, it had me down. And I think that, sometimes everything happens for a reason. So I needed to go through that for my own sake. I am thankful for that time I had. I did earn my life coaching certification during that time, which is something that I had been wanting to do for years, and I couldn't seem to find the time, right? Or even the finances. But it's like once everything lined up and it was meant for me to do it, everything lined up exactly the way I was supposed to. Like literally, the class started the day I called. It was like a class starting that same week or weekend, and like I paid like the last day or something like that. And as a matter of fact, my instructor or facilitator, her name is Dr. Faya, and Dr. Jerome. He was my teacher as well, or my instructor as well. And they're both therapists, by the way, and they now have a school, Transcendent Life Coaching Institute in Atlanta, Georgia. But they were actually, Dr. Faya was actually on a phone call, right? So here I am searching the internet, and I was going to do one of those you can become a life coach in a weekend type of seminars, and it was like for 3 days for $800, and that's what I was going to do. But something told me to look again, and when I looked again, I saw Dr. Faya, a picture of her, and I immediately gravitated towards her. And then I saw that she had a picture with Iyanla. And I always wanted to go to Iyanla school in Maryland called, oh my goodness, I can't think of the name of it right now. I used to know it by heart. But anyway, I always wanted to go to hers. And come to find out, her school is kind of set up similarly in terms of the amount of months that you go. And it's like 1 weekend a month. So that's something similar. Not to say that Dr. Faya even structured it off of Iyanla's, but it just so happened to be similar. Again, I don't know if that was intentional or not. But anyway, she was on a conference call with the other facilitators at the time. And they were in the process of creating an avatar for the type of student that they wanted. And they said the person has to be spiritual. And guess who called while they were on the phone? So everything happens in divine timing. Like everything lined up exactly the way that it was supposed to, right? So here I go into the class. So, I've been through a lot along my spiritual journey, and I'm thankful for it. I also became anger management specialist, and ordained to perform marriages, funerals, and baptisms. So it was a great experience, 8 months, and I also learned to practice Reiki, and that's something else that I had been wanting to do for a while. So this was all part of my healing, right? So these certifications and this time away from clocking into a 9 to 5 actually was part of my healing journey. Wasn't intentionally set up, but it just so happened that, okay, now I have this time. I'm looking for ways to heal my body. This seems like the perfect time because I have the finances, and I, pursue that. But again, that helped. That was very helpful toward my healing. But again, I still needed more. I needed more healing. And so, again, I became a vegan, or what is basically a strict vegetarian that does not eat anything that comes from an animal. So that includes honey, right? That includes butter, milk, cheese, eggs, any type of dairy product, anything that comes from an animal is not consumed by someone who is vegan unless they choose to. Because there are some vegans who 99% of the time they will not eat anything that comes from a vegan, but let's say they go to a party or they go hang out with a friend and there's cheesecake on the menu, they will allow themselves to eat a slice of cheesecake, right? And people will say, oh, well, I thought you aren't supposed to. People can do whatever they want to do, right? You can do whatever you want to do. There are no rules. You make the rules because it's your body. You can do whatever you want to do, right? And so if somebody chooses not to eat something or to eat something, that's their business. Doesn't make them a bad person. People are, oh, you a part-time vegan, or you fake, or I thought you didn't eat this and I thought you did. But if I want to eat it, I'm going to eat it. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. Now, how about that? Right? That's kind of how that philosophy goes. And it's not to be sarcastic. There are some people who are strict, right? They're very strict. They don't ever allow themselves to have those things. They just find a substitute. There's one sister on YouTube. I can't think of her name right now, but she makes a lot of great vegan desserts. I've made some vegan desserts, and they turn out really good. But the reason I mentioned her is because her and her family do absolutely nothing that comes from an animal. And she's part of a couple, and there are several couples on YouTube. They only eat food that comes from plants. They do not eat anything that comes from an animal, right? And so they find ways to make desserts. Anything that you like to eat, they have a version of it that does not include animal products, right? Nothing. Again, not even butter. And there is a substitute for everything. And you can make a substitute for everything. I've made on my YouTube channel nut milks, right? I've made almond milk. I've made walnut milk. I've showed people how to make that more than once, right? I have a almond milk one. I think I have at least 3 videos showing people how to make nut butter. And so once you have that nut butter, let's say you want to make some cheesecake, you already have the milk. And I meant to say nut milk. You already have the milk. So now you add the other ingredients that you need to make what it is that you want to make. If you want, say, a graham cracker crust, instead of using graham crackers, you're going to chop up some nuts. And you're going to use some maybe agave to bind them together. Maybe even use flaxseed oil as an egg substitute. You may use something else as an egg substitute. Right? But you're going to grind those nuts. You could put them in a blender or use a mortar. And you're going to grind them up as finely as you can. And that's going to be the base for, say, your cheesecake. Right? A lot of people use cashews for the cream cheese portion. You're going to cream those cashews, add whatever, agave or sweetness, fruit, whatever you're going to add, and you're going to put it in that, nutty pie crust. And there you have some vegan cheesecake. And maybe not exactly as simple as I'm explaining it, but it doesn't require a lot. One of the things is that we live in an instant gratification society, and people want everything right now, right now, right now, right now. Right? And so we're used to driving past the fast food restaurant, picking something up. And so the thought of actually preparing something and taking the time to do so when you have a busy work schedule, a busy school schedule, you have kids, you have a husband, you have a wife, Some people can't even imagine actually taking the time to make something from scratch, right? Whereas that's something that I love to do. Do I always have the time to do it? No. Do I make the time to do it for myself sometimes? Absolutely. Right? Ideally, if I had an income where I could stay home and prepare things, I would love to do that for y'all all the time, because I noticed that majority of the videos that are watched on my YouTube channel are food videos, right? Like this video that I'm recording now. Hopefully a lot of people watch it, right? And listen to what I'm saying. But the reality is there's no food in this video. I may have to make my thumbnail something that has to do with food just to get people to watch this video. And phrase the title in such a way that people are interested. But make it foodie, right? People love to eat. Again, a lot of times it's and see, when you say that to somebody, oh, a lot of times they're eating emotionally, that triggers some people because they don't want to hear that. I remember once, and I may have said this before on my channel, I'm an Aquarius and we have a tendency to tell us the truth. Do we tell it all the time? No, because sometimes we come across so bluntly, it hurts people's feelings. So sometimes for somebody like me, I don't always want to hurt people's feelings, although I do say what I need to say. Sometimes I have to think about the way that I want to deliver that message. I was vending back in, had to be around 2015. And this was in Raleigh, North Carolina. And one of the sisters that was at the event, she was a masseuse. And she was a Scorpio. And when I told her I was an Aquarius, she said, I don't want to be your friend because y'all have a tendency to tell the truth and I don't always want to hear the truth. I thought that was the most profound thing I've heard anyone say. And I was so appreciative and thankful and grateful that she was able to speak her truth and not feel ashamed. And I laughed. I didn't feel any kind of way. I didn't care. Not that I didn't care, but I was so thankful that she told me the truth. Because most people aren't going to admit that. It's not that what I'm saying is wrong. It's not that what I'm saying is horrible. It can be triggering to some people. Right? If a person is not ready to hear it, they will excuse and justify and, yeah, but instead of just accepting and acknowledging the fact that it is true, that most people are emotional eaters. I know that I'm still an emotional eater. Although I've learned to control it over the years, but I don't always control it, right? And I can admit that. And sometimes it's on such a subconscious or unconscious level, I don't even realize that I'm doing it until after the food is already in my mouth or has already been eaten. Right? It's like, oh, I heard this. This happened. That happened. So instead of, maybe reacting in anger or sadness, I eat. Some people cry. I'm not really a crier. I eat. Whether it's a vegetable or a soup, something sweet, because my weakness is sweets, right? Now again, I'm better at controlling it than some people that I know, but I still don't have control over it, right? Another thing, a lot of us have low self-esteem, and I remember for years I thought I was ugly. I remember when I was in 6th grade, and I'm sure I've told this story before. I don't remember which one, but I think I had a relaxer and my grandmother put a jerry curl on top of it, or I had a jerry curl and my grandmother put a relaxer on top of it. Whichever one. I don't remember. But anyway, it broke my hair off. As soon as she rinsed my hair down the sink, rinsed the chemical out of my hair, it went down the sink. And that very next day was picture day. And in 1985, I think it was, 84, 85, no one was wearing an afro. Not anyone cool anyway. Prior to that, I had my ponytails, and so, or I would even get my hair pressed and curled sometimes, right? Before that, I had a jerry curl. But at this particular time, when I was in the 4th and 5th grade, I would have my hair pressed and curled, or I would wear my plaits, as they call them. And all my hair broke off, so my mom came over, and because I was staying with my grandmother at that time, and she had to cut my hair. The hair that did not get damaged, which was basically like the new growth, right? So the ends still had the chemical on it, and the new growth was fine. She had to cut my hair down into a little afro. And when I tell you, the kids teased me and called me ugly, and so I thought it was ugly for years, to the point where even some of the men that I dated, you know, I didn't necessarily pick them for their looks. And I still don't pick men for their looks. Or I shouldn't even say pick men. It's more about character for me. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I subconsciously would deal with people who weren't very attractive because I thought I was unattractive. But I didn't know that I thought I was unattractive, if that makes sense at all. Like, I knew that people called me ugly, but it wasn't until I became like a young adult, like maybe in my 20s, that I realized I wasn't ugly. May have even been later than that. It may not have been early 20s. It may have been, you know, late 20s. But it's funny how the energy that I exude is that of confidence, and people would be jealous of me, and I couldn't understand why. Like, okay, I heard a certain style of dress, or what they call swag, but I was just doing me. Like, I would buy what I like, wear what I like, and I felt like I looked good in it, and so that's what I went with. Like, but I can tell you that I was the most confident, or she thinks she all of that. No, I don't. No, I didn't. Not at all. So when I would hear people say that, I was like, that's so crazy. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you know, and it's really just a smile hidden behind, you know, true pain, right? And so not only would I laugh and smile, which I still laugh and smile, but that's just my personality. But then I would eat, right? And then once upon a time, people would say, oh, how many months are you? And I wasn't pregnant. And so I realized, like, I gained weight in my upper body. And so when I gain weight in my upper body, it looks like I'm pregnant. My boobs get bigger and my belly gets bigger, right? I'm a little up there in weight now. In a lot of men, like, oh, it looks good on you. Thanks. Appreciate the compliment. But I don't like it. And so it doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter to me that men like it. And I'm not even trying to be mean, but I could care less. I don't feel comfortable with extra weight on me. And that's just my truth. I cannot speak for anyone else. If someone else feels comfortable that way. But I can't walk, you know, a long distance without feeling out of breath. Right? Because I have extra weight on my body. My body's now burning more fuel. My heart is pumping faster. But again, I can only speak for me. Right? My boobs get bigger. Which again, this is something that, you know, even women will say it looks good on you. Thanks. Yeah, okay. But it can't be about what anybody else thinks. So if you make the decision to eat healthy and your family say, oh girl, you grew up eating pork, get you one of these pork chops. You have to be strong enough to say, no, I don't want it. You can't succumb to the peer pressure, no matter how mad they get at you or tell you think you all of that, or who do you think you are, or you grew up eating that, or what's wrong with you, or you must be crazy. Whatever people say, right? If you make the decision to eat healthier, and if eating healthier for you means just eating chicken and fish, then by all means do so. Right? If it means, You have a pork chop sometimes. Do what you want to do. A hamburger. That's your prerogative. I know for me, when I ate beef, it felt like it was sitting here for like a month and it wouldn't digest. And it was kind of painful. And one of the reasons I became a vegetarian is because I have what they call irritable bowel syndrome. Irritable bowel syndrome to make me constipated. And when I was a little girl, my mother took me to a doctor, and the doctor said it was normal. But as I went to naturopathic doctors and holistic practitioners, over the years, I found out you're supposed to poop after every meal. Ideally, we should poop at least 3 times a day. And the average person does not poop that often. And so literally, and I'm just going to say this bluntly, literally, most people are full of shit. Shit. For real. My colon is and how do we know? And again, I'm not trying to be graphic. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. I'm just speaking the truth. And what I'm saying can be researched. I'm not making this up. I did not make it up. I've read about this over the years. I've seen and experienced this for myself. If you cleanse and detox your body, you would be surprised at how much waste comes out. If you go have a colonic done, right, where it's kind of like an enema, but not really, you lie down on the table. There is a tube that is inserted into the rectum, and it forces warm water up into your intestines, and it pulls all that stuff down. There are some colonic practitioners that have like a clear tube, like, you know, the pipes. Instead of it being white or black, it's clear. And you can actually see the waste coming out. And I had one that I would go to in North Carolina, and she would tell me, okay, I can tell you eat too many carbs. But she could tell by the consistency of the stool. If she saw hard pebbles or hard looking logs, that means you eat too many carbohydrates. Right? Too much bread, too much rice, too much potato, too many starches, pasta, crackers, cakes, cookies, candy, sugar. Starch turns into sugar in the body, right? So, and you know that saying junk in the trunk, it's literally from eating so much junk, because that's not considered real food, because it doesn't grow on a tree or come from a plant, most of it, right? And it sticks to your body. So it gives you junk in the trunk, right? Because it's junk food. That's what I remember when I was younger. My grandmother used to always call fast food junk food, and I didn't understand what she meant when I was younger, but now I understand what she meant. It is junk. It's processed food. It comes from a plant. They add all types of artificial chemicals, colors, additives, preservatives that are not naturally occurring from the earth. They don't come from a tree. They do not grow from the ground. And again, this is plant-based. That is what plant-based is. That is what being vegan or vegetarian is, meaning that your body mainly consists of vegetables and or fruits, nuts, and grains. These are more easily digested by the body. But if you eat cereal, bread, pasta, even, a lot of meat, the body is not processing it as well as we are told that it does. And a lot of people do the plant-based, the blood type diet. I have done the blood type diet. Ironically, the blood type diet says I'm supposed to be a vegetarian, right? For my blood type, right? But I know that most people who try at least being a vegan or eating plant-based for at least 30 days, I've seen their blood pressure go down. I've seen their diabetes count, or whatever that's calculated, regulate. I've seen them lose weight. I've seen their skin clear up, their hair grow, all types of health benefits, because they were willing to try it for at least a month. Right? Nobody has to. Right? Nobody's forcing anyone to do anything that they don't want to do, because again, my goal is not to take anything away from you. But I just came to do this video so that we can stop thinking about plant-based or vegan as some type of phenomenon. Because if you're like, say, over 30, or especially if you're over 40, this is the way we ate as children. Of course, you know, a lot of us ate chicken or whatever the case may be, but we ate more fresh fruits and vegetables. A lot of people, more people had gardens back then, or they would go to a farm, right? And they ate food that grew from the earth. That is what it says in the Bible, right? In Genesis, that we were given everything that we need. Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food. And that we were given everything from the earth that we need. Every plant, every seed. What does it say? Come on now. Don't play games. A lot of people like to quote what they want to quote, to use it for what they want to use it for, to justify the foolishness. Let's justify eating healthy. Right? What does it say? Let's go. I'm just saying. I just want to get it right. Okay, this is the King James Version. And let them gather all the food for those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them eat food in the cities. It's like in the beginning of, hold on. I'm sorry, it's taking me a while. Oh. Hold on. Hold on. I'm pretty sure I have it highlighted. Let's see. And I'm not like a overly religious person, but I know a lot of people refer to the Bible when it comes to certain things. So why do we overlook that part? Let me see. Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind. That's not what I want. Now, I normally don't edit, but I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon all the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit, that shall be yours for food. That's Genesis 1:29. Right? Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. Right? Oh, I was reading the right one before. A little was further down. Okay. Yeah, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the air, and all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. Right? And so, why do we seem to ignore that part? But we only use the Bible when it's beneficial to us, when we, are trying to justify some foolishness. Let's read the King James Version. I started reading it already. Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the earth, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And that's it. But again, people don't want to hear that part. But it's not complicated. It's just marketing to get you to buy certain products that are, again, still processed food, still for certain people to make money off of them. And people like to say, oh, I don't eat vegan. I don't eat vegetarian. So you don't eat apples? You don't eat applesauce? No? You don't eat bananas? You don't eat collard greens? You've never been to a restaurant where they didn't put meat in the collard greens? Or in the cabbage? Like a Jamaican restaurant, you never been to a Jamaican restaurant, ate cabbage? Even if you had some jerk chicken, you still ate a plant-based food. It's not, complicated as we like to make it seem, as they're marketing to us that is some outrageous out there in the sky, thing that we've never done. Like, we ate more fresh fruits and vegetables as children, most of us, especially if we're over the age of like 30 and 40. Well, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. And as always, love y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would love to hear from you. And, if you would like me to discuss anything else, let me know later.